for any reason, I will share the link afterwards. I'm seeing barriers, timely parental contact with the district, and setting up enrollment meetings. Parents believe that identification will get them in trouble with children and youth services, or parents are unaware of their rights to remain in home district. Those are all definitely 3 barriers, Erica, that we are seeing everywhere. Little support at home, food insecurity, yes, Olivia, and lack of community support. Lack of access to service and no home stability, transportation, family support, transfer of records. All right, let's keep those sign-ins coming. Transient lifestyle, family support, transportation. Everybody says transportation, right, Irene?
Yes, they do.
All right, again, for those of you who have not yet done so, if you could please sign in to the chat your name, school district, and or agency that you are representing today. And then also, if you could list 2 to 3 barriers in the chat that students experiencing foster care and experiencing homelessness have when it comes to their education. And we'll get started in just a moment. Let's see. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. It is 9:05 and we will go ahead and get started with our meeting. I would like to thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you had a nice Thanksgiving break with friends or family, or both, I guess, and you feel a little refreshed as we head into December and preparing for the Christmas season or winter break. You know, as December approaches. It's snowing here in Indiana. I'm sure it's snowing everywhere else if it's not just here. I would love to do quick introductions if everybody is okay with that. I will just I'm going to pull open the list and we'll just kind of go down through. If you could please unmute yourselves when it is your turn. And again, please state your name, your school district or agency for everybody in the room. So I'll start, well, obviously with myself. I think you all know me, but Sarah Schroth, Regional Homeless Education Coordinator for Region 6. You have to unmute yourself to talk.
Monica Williams Walker from Aaron IU28. I am the Regional Foster Care Coordinator and I am the Homeless Specialist. I think everybody knows me too.
Williams.
Monica Williams, Oswego Valley School District.
Thank you. Shane.
Hi, I'm Shane Hazen-Stab. I work as a superintendent at Conemaugh Valley School District, and we're actually in the process of a turnover here with our homeless liaison. So I'm listening in and gathering information for who's going to take over this role in our district.
Great. Thank you for joining us, Shane. Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam Lambert, and I'm Coudersport Area School District.
Morning. Thank you. Marcel. I'm a supervisor for Armstrong. Great. Thank you, Marcel, for joining us. Ariel. We'll come back to Ariel unless you want to unmute yourself. Clyde.
Clyde Pierce, I'm the superintendent at Gailton School District.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Mana, I saw that you just joined us. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Mona Mio, and I'm the school nurse through Apollo Ridge School District.
Great. Thank you for joining us this morning. Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica Heindel from Ridgeway School District. I'm the supervisor of special education and the homeless liaison for the district.
Morning. Thanks, Erica. Mark.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Harrington. I'm from Altoona, Assistant Superintendent, Altoona Area School District, and I'm the homeschool liaison, and I work with another colleague at Altoona who's also involved with the homeless students in our school district.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Olivia.
Good morning. I'm Olivia Lichty. I'm the social worker at Northern Cambria School District and our homeless liaison.
Great. Thank you. Ray.
I'm Ray Kelly. I'm the high school principal at Johnsonburg Area High School, as well as the homeless liaison for the district.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Shannon.
Good morning. This is Shannon Kurtz from the Northern Potter School District.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I know that you are off today, so thank you. Tara.
Hi, I'm the special director at Indiana Area School District.
Great, thank you. And last but not least, Tristan.
I'm the assistant director with Clinton County Children and Youth, and I work with Keystone Central School District.
Great. Thank you, Tristan. Nice to see you. Did I miss anybody? I don't think. Perfect. Okay. So just again, a couple of housekeeping things before we dig in. If you have questions during the meeting, please feel free to ask, unmute yourself and ask those questions. Type them in the chat. I'm going to ask Irene when that if you can monitor the chat for questions as well. Okay, thank you. As we go through, she and I are in the same room, so if you hear any feedback, it's just because our computers are adjacent to one another. I do want to be mindful, of course, of everybody's time this morning. I know that we're all coming back from break and our students have lots of needs. So we will try to get through this. I know that I booked out 3 hours because the in-person sessions were 3 hours. We will not need that much time. But please do ask questions as we go through. Also, just as a reminder, we are recording today's session. If you do need to step out for any reason, I will be sending it out after today, and for anyone who was not able to join us. All right, so we're going to kick off with just some homeless updates here quickly. I just want to highlight that Paving the Way, the state conference, was now almost 2 months ago. It was in October. We were in Pittsburgh this year. We had about 20 representatives attending from our region. Mark, I know that you were there, and we got great feedback from all of the attendees who came from our region. It was nice to have you know, some representation and also, you know, highlight the work that we're doing across Pennsylvania for our homeless and foster care youth. This year we had 2 advocates of the year for Region 6. The first advocate was Mr. Daniel Park. He is the homeschool visitor and principal at Bellefonte Elementary in Bellefonte School District in Center County. And we also had Mr. Kirby Dieter from Greater Johnstown School District, also nominated as Advocate of the Year. Each region had multiple advocates, and they were nominated by regional staff and also some of their own colleagues. So just a few pictures to highlight that. For those of you who do not know, the gentleman next to me in the photo is our state coordinator, Mr. Storm Kamara, if you've not had the pleasure of meeting him. And then on the far left of the screen is Dawn Trail. She is the foster care, she's the, let me try that again, education liaison for the Office of Children, Youth, and Family Services for the state of Pennsylvania. Her name is Dawn Trail. Both great resources for us to connect with and ask questions. During the conference, we also had artwork featured that was done by students. We had a full gallery of artwork. Other than my lousy layout here, you can see some of the beautiful things that students did. Region 5, which is from Erie kind of down to us. Well, they connect to us. They do a contest every year, and their theme is "Home is where the heart is." So a lot of the work featured here is from that contest. I believe that this is something that's going to continue for the next for the foreseeable future. So if you have students who you would like to have their artwork featured at the conference, if your art teachers would consider doing something like this with their students, we would love to feature their artwork at next year's conference and beyond.
And if you notice the sweatshirt that I had on in the previous picture, the one picture here is actually the one of the
well, the designs,
designs,
yeah,
and they won the contest, and their was put on that sweatshirt. So which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Region 5 did some sweatshirts. We're hoping to do that hopefully next year, some t-shirts and sweatshirts for Awareness Week. So I'm going to go through program updates. Again, please ask any questions that you have as we go through. So I just want to take a look at some data from the latest report. So as you all know, our data goes into the ECYEH data system that is monitored by Allegheny IU3. And they take all of the data and weed out any duplicates that are reported by the same school district or by multiple school districts. They verify information, they check, nighttime status, the child's grade, age level, etc. And then they compile us a beautiful report at the end of the year. Well, actually the end of this is 2 school years ago because of how they compile the data. So during the 21-22 school year, our state identified from birth through 21, 40,003 students experiencing homelessness. Yes, the majority of those, 85% of them, were identified as children and youth who were enrolled in school. So kindergarten through 12th grade is the number that they look at because of mandatory enrollment. Only 11% of students across the state of Pennsylvania were identified as unaccompanied youth for the whole state that year. Our numbers are just slightly different. Region 6 was 18% of unaccompanied youth. I think you guys do a great job of identifying those unaccompanied youth and supporting them, though my feeling is that we can always do better for those UHY. Region 5 and Region 3 report up to 25 or 28% of unaccompanied youth within their region. When we take a look at our data for that year, of those 40,003 students, 1,803 of them were identified in our region for that same school year, where the state's average was, or the state's reported 66% of children were doubled up. Our numbers were even higher at 77%. And I know that especially those of you who are very rural do see most of your families living as doubled up because there aren't a lot of housing options otherwise. Anybody have any questions on the data from that school year? I will say last year, just cold numbers that aren't compiled, our region had over 2,000. So we did see an increase. And I have not logged into the data system since before Thanksgiving break, but we were at 930 something the Friday previous to Thanksgiving, which was
975.
Say that?
975.
Okay. As of today, there are 975 students reported in the data system. We do know that some school districts have yet to report data for this year. Unfortunately, that does happen. Some school districts wait until the end of the year to report all of their data. If you're on this meeting, please don't do that. Please report them as you are, so that we can see accurate numbers throughout the year and make sure we're supporting students with those funds that we have.
And I keep track of the seniors throughout the
Yes.
school year so that it helps that if they're in the system for us to identify them.
Yes. So this is just a breakdown of the distribution of age of the students that we see. The state average is 9, and our data very clearly reflects that. I am not a math person by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that, if we take out those big outliers, the 12th grade and that low number of pre-K enrolled identified students, our average does show that it's 3rd and 4th grade, which is a 9-year-old child is the average age of in Pennsylvania of students experiencing homelessness. And just as a side note, please remember that we are going to do those senior gift baskets again that we did last year and the previous year. Irene is keeping track of those seniors so that we are better prepared this year. We can get those gift baskets out to you earlier. Those of you who are new liaisons, Tara, Mark, just off the top of my head, Mana, what we do for those gift baskets is provide to seniors, graduating seniors who are identified as homeless for the school year, and they are able to receive gift cards from us. We do $50 for Sheetz and $50 for Walmart. Last year, I believe we did Amazon, but because of purchasing issues, we have to go back to Walmart this year. But they also get hygiene kits, school supplies, bedding if needed, like pillows and blankets, sheets as well, cleaning supplies. We give them each a laundry basket and a personal note from for each of them. We helped over 150 seniors last year prepare for their post-secondary life, after graduation. Monica, I love that you have your kids send us thank you notes. I keep them on my desk all year round as a wonderful reminder for my favorite thing that I get to do all year. So those of you, who are on today, just please keep track of your seniors. We'll get that form sent out probably starting in January so that we can start gathering all of those materials. I'll send out more information about that project, in the new year. I don't want to overwhelm anybody else with anything new before the new year. Any questions on the senior gift baskets? Do you remember what the number of seniors you have in this, around 100?
Right around, it's
Okay.
like 80 to 100,
Okay.
somewhere right in
Okay,
there.
perfect. Someone unmuted. I'm sorry, I cut you off. No? Okay. So I want to share just a couple of different data resources with you. I love looking at our data. There is a report called Children Cannot Wait, and I will share it with everybody after today's meeting. It's one of the handouts that we had been giving. Excuse me. And it takes a look at all of the school districts in Pennsylvania, the number of identified students, et cetera. It's a really great resource. I am going to pull up this website though. It is called, it is from Schoolhouse Connections. And it is a way to look at national, state, and local level data. I'll share the link out with everyone following today's meeting as well. Irene, I know you're in the room. Can you confirm that it's on the screen and spinning?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
all right, thank you. So this data was compiled using our data from our ECYEH data system and then sent to Schoolhouse Connections. And then every other state is also required to report data as well. I'm going to pull up Pennsylvania here for everybody to take a look at. You can go in and search for any state that you want to look at their levels, or any county. It is a little bit sluggish this morning, so I apologize. But once Pennsylvania pops up, we'll take a look at some of the data. All right, there is our state. First, I just want to highlight, it does show the poverty level. The lightest area is the lowest poverty level by school district, all the way to the darkest to the highest, of course, highest, lighter being lowest. You can go over and highlight every single county in the state. You can also look by congressional district, or by county, and also school district. Would anybody like me to pull open their county or their school district in particular, or I will just pick one at random? Okay. I'm going to choose Blair County because it's near the top of the list. So what it does is it brings up the shape of each county, and then it has each of the school districts listed. You can hover over those and find out information. And then once you click on that, it will bring up the full, I'll give it a minute. Maybe. Nope. Maybe. There we go. I'm going to open Altoona from the drop-down menu, just because they report the highest number in our region. So the data that is displayed is from the 2020 to 2021 school year. So it's definitely a little skewed because of the pandemic, because students weren't in school for a full school year. We didn't have our liaisons, meeting with students face to face, or counselors or other support staff, identifying students. Kids had their cameras turned off, so we weren't sure about what their living arrangements were. So this is a really low number for Altoona. I'm pretty sure that they're pretty close to 170 already at this point in this current school year. I haven't taken a look at the numbers lately, Mark, but you can see that it shows the number of students identified for the school year. It shows all the percentage of students versus their full population that were identified. It also will show you chronic absenteeism rates of homeless versus general student population, other supports as needed. Altoona School District has a very high number of unaccompanied homeless youth in their school district. It also shows nighttime residences and does break down the population by race and or ethnicity of students. And this is all based on data that is put into the data system. Although we don't put race into our data system, do we? No, I didn't think so. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I will share this link with everybody following today's meeting after the recording is done. And you can go on here and you can take a look. If you are eager to take a look, I like to look at data. It will help you when you are writing grants and looking for monies for your school district. But you can go on to just schoolhouseconnections.org, and there is a data section on their website where you can find this. Anybody have any questions or comments about the data? Anybody else in the room a data nerd like me? Yes, no, maybe so. I like to look at the numbers. I think it helps us. Okay. I'm going to switch back over to our PowerPoint here, and Okay. Yes. Thank you, Marcel, for that. Yeah, I like the data. It does help. If you have your phones available, you can scan that QR code that's on the screen there, and you can look at the data. You can look at it on your phone. It is clunkier to use from a phone, but you can scan it and go right to it if you'd like to. All right. So just some reminders on identification. We are seeing an uptick in numbers just in general across the region and across the state. I just want to, let everybody know that those ERAP funds, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program funds, are coming to an end here very soon, unfortunately. And we're going to have a housing crisis in the next few months, of course, during the coldest months of the year. Please be prepared for a large number of your students to be identified as experiencing homelessness. And I know that, that being said, that we are also, many school districts are struggling with transportation. So should that be one of your struggles as you're identifying more students, please reach out, ask your neighboring school districts or other partners in your county, school district or local community, if they have assistance, and be creative. Work with each other as you already do. So many of our school districts and children and youth agencies and other agencies have great working relationships. Make sure that you're communicating with each other. We are going to have an interagency meeting about homelessness here in Indiana County in a couple of weeks. Marcel, that's a great question. We'll touch on safety plans here in just a second when we get to that portion. So thank you for asking that. Okay, so with identification, just as a reminder, we're seeing more migrants in our region. We're seeing a lot of them in Blair County, but also I've been getting a lot of questions from Elk County about migrants as well. Please remember, if you are working with a family who is migrant, that they should also be identified within the homeless data system, into that ECYEH data system. Because, if they're lacking a fixed, regular, adequate, if they're doubled up, shared housing, if they're in any of those situations that meet the definition. There is also, as a reminder, a separate migrant program through PDE as well. Families can be eligible. They can go back up to 3 years to receive services from the migrant program. If you ever have a family that needs support through the migrant program, please reach out to me and I can connect you with the appropriate person, because our region is split. Center County, Clinton, and Blair have a separate migrant person than some of the other counties. So just reminder that there is an additional program. The migrant definition includes fishing and game and agricultural related employment. It does not include like the pipe layering for the gas line. It also does not include windmills. They're different. And that, Erica, I know that you had a question about folks who were working on the windmills up in Ridgeway, and that was a unique situation. But just as a heads up to everybody else, that families are using, that families are staying in Airbnbs now. So they're renting them for extended leases because they are cheaper than signing or than paying for rent, and they have all the accommodations that a regular house would have. A reminder, of course, we know that doubled up is a reason to identify families, but please remember that if there are multiple families in the home, that there are not enough bedrooms and or beds, the kids are sleeping on the floor, on the sofa, on air mattresses, in sleeping bags, etc., That could be a fire hazard, a safety hazard. It would violate safety codes for your county, for your local jurisdiction. And we want to make sure that even if they have been living in that same situation for multiple years, that we are identifying them. Because again, there's no timeline, there's no end until the family obtains permanent housing. They can be identified from kindergarten the whole way through their senior year. We can address that. If you have separate questions about specific issues, we can talk about that separately. But just as a blanket statement, just remember that there is just because the data system ends does not mean that their situation comes to an end. Also, as a reminder, anyone who's living in substandard housing, so they have a tarp on the roof because they can't repair their roof, not because they are repairing it. If they have holes in the walls, the floors, exposed wiring, dirt floor, no running water, no heat, no electricity, for whatever reason, for that amount of time that they are without those resources or without those essentials, that would be substandard. And we would want to identify the children. I have been saying this a lot lately, but just as a reminder, the program is about the children. And whatever choices their parents make, our children, whether it's a positive or negative choice, our children are subject to that decision. Those of us who are parents and all of us who are educators, children are subject to our decision making. So the program is to support the children, and remember that's who we're identifying and supporting to make sure that they're continuing their education. Any questions on that first column? Okay, cool. Safety plans. Marcel asked, how are schools finding out about safety plans? Marcel, my advice is to ask that you yourself as the educational liaison or your caseworkers or your supervisors are alerting the homeless liaison for that school district when a family enters a safety plan. Or when the children enter a safety plan, because they have to make those transportation arrangements for the students. The students then become eligible for the children's students, et cetera, become eligible for free breakfast. They're eligible and lunch, excuse me, for the entire school year, even if the safety plan is only 30 days, or if it's less or if it's more, et cetera. We want to make sure that the homeless liaison is alerted, because if we don't know, if the district doesn't know that the child is not home, they, and they're not being picked up for school, the district is wasting resources for sending a transportation for someone that's not there, but they could also be making, transportation accommodations for wherever they are staying. But then it also allows for all of those additional protections. Tristan, I love that you send a list of active safety plans to your school districts every Friday. Irene is planning on getting all of you children and youth offices together at some point to talk about what you're doing that works and what, works well, and what best practices you are doing. So Tristan will make sure that she asks you about what that looks like. If you have sort of like a letterhead or if you have a form letter that you do that on, it would be great to see that so we could share it with others as well if you're open to doing that.
We actually just use a Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
So one of our secretaries just runs a report every Friday and updates the spreadsheet. So some are the same ones from the week prior, but then we take off any ones that are no longer active.
Perfect.
So yeah, pretty easy.
Yeah, that's simple, right? And do you share that through a secure, is it password protected? Is it just sent out to the liaison? How do you handle that?
We just send it directly to the liaison's email. So
Okay.
we also send a list of, all the kids who are in, like, who are placed outside of the home.
Great.
That goes out once a month, but yeah, we just send it directly to the food fund.
Okay, perfect.
That's
Thank you.
awesome, Tristan.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you. I say this to a lot of our CYS, CYA, CYF, whatever you want to, whatever acronym we want to use. If I could just duplicate you and take you to all of the counties and say, this is what they do and this is how it's done well, please copy, copy this. Thank you for sharing that, Tristan. I think it just helps everybody with what is the best practice.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to just remind you about younger siblings as well. That if there are younger siblings in the home, we want to make sure that we identify them. If they're not enrolled in school, we want to make sure that they're referred for Head Start, early Head Start, pre-K, early intervention services, etc., to make sure, because they have the law protects them and helps them get connected to those services as well. So please don't forget to identify those. That also being said, let's also remember that if our teen parents are homeless, their children also would be identified as well, and it's our obligation to enter them into the system. Questions on that? Marcella, I hope I answered your question about safety plans. If you need to talk about it more, we can, you can stay on or you can give out. Good. Thank you, ma'am. That's all I needed to know. Okay. Just something that we created here internally for increasing identification is a Google form. I'm all about Google forms. They are helpful for many, many things. Our early intervention staff here at the IU was reaching out to us via email or leaving us voicemails or sending me a text message about families that they are working with who are experiencing homelessness. So I created this Google form to share internally to all of our early intervention staff here at the IU and also other departments. I stole this from you, Tara, so thank you. I know that Indiana uses something similar for identification internally. If you are interested in using something like this, I'm happy to share it out with everybody as well. There is a way to turn it on so that you get responses emailed. Every time a response is entered, you get an email so that you're not missing anyone. Just as also a few ideas for increasing your identification, because the families are there. We want to make sure that they are letting you know when they are experiencing homelessness, is to put up those posters. If you need posters, if you need more posters, Irene and I can get those to you. Or if you need stickers to put over, if Andrea's contact information is still on them, which I think we've taken most of those down or covered those up. Not that, she doesn't want to hear from people, but that's me now. So we want to get posters. If you have your own posters, if you want to add your own contact information to those, also fine. Awareness training, those in-service training dates. I know that Johnson Burke has me slated for January, and so does Erica, I think for the same day. Awareness trainings for your staff so that your staff are made aware of the definition as a reminder, just so that they know to share that information with you as the liaison, or with districts, other district employees, so that we can make sure we're identifying. Additionally, Community events are really important for identification as well. Irene and I do events throughout the region within the community. Indiana County has a lot of family events here at our booming metropolis of a mall. And at the Indiana Mall, we do a large event every spring called the Family Fun Fest. And we set up a table, share information. We go to fairs, Armstrong School District Title I night we've done, back to school bashes, etc. If you would like if you would like to have us come to a community event, within your county or just specifically for your school district, or even just an individual building, we're happy to do those. And then
another thing we would like to participate in is if any counties have like a round table or anything like that, we would actually like to participate in those type of things too, and stuff like that. So
yeah, any homeless coalitions, shelter meetings, shelter housing, interagency collaborations, anything that we can do. I'm on the CSP for Indiana and Armstrong County. Anything that we can do to help raise awareness within the community to other agencies to make sure that families know that, and I'm going back to one of those barriers that someone listed at the beginning of the meeting. Families need to know that just because they're being identified or they're experiencing homelessness, that's not a reason for children and youth to take custody of their children. They need to, we need to help remove that stigma and help them navigate those situations so that there isn't that fear, just so that we can, again, increase awareness and increase identification. So if anybody wants to invite us to any of those meetings, we will conquer and divide, and we will come attend and share information about the program, but also, we want to know what other resources are available in your counties that we don't know about. Awareness Week was now 2 weeks ago. Got lots of photos. If you took photos of students wearing red, or if you took up a collection of any items, please share those with us. We would love to highlight them on the state's Facebook page. Also, I need to get back to doing my newsletter and highlight those in the newsletter as well. Any questions on any of that? Perfect. Okay. Just a couple of reminders about data entry. Please remember that data should be entered at a minimum of once a month. I think most of you who are on here enter your data as you identify a child. You do it at the end of the week. We have one school district in particular who shall remain nameless that does not enter their data until June, after the school year has ended, which makes it difficult for us to provide additional supports for those children. If they need backpacks, we can't necessarily verify that they have been identified, or if they're a senior, when we do our senior gifts at the end of the school year, we have to make sure that they're in the data system. We also, if those students need those higher education sign-offs for their FAFSA forms, because they've been an unaccompanied youth and experienced homelessness, we just want to make sure that we can verify that they're in the data system. So make sure that they're going in. Those students those children, who are below school age, they need a local ID number when you're entering them into the data system. I know obviously children and youth offices, you are not entering data into the system, but you are sharing information about your foster care families and your safety plans with the school districts. So they are required to put an ID number in. There is also in the data system just a few things like no PA Secure ID or PA Secure ID unavailable, PA Secure ID pending. or non-LEA because they're not enrolled in school or attending a private school. There are a couple of other codes. And if you're having issues with your data system, just let Irene and I know, and we'll help you know which codes to enter into the system.
Because there has to be something in that PA Secure ID spot that you have to enter. And like, that's what Sarah's talking about with the non-LEA and those kind of things.
It will also give you an alert that information is missing, and we'll ask you to input something in there. So if you're having specific issues, please let us know. Also, as a reminder, so many of our school districts are so good about this, but we do ask that once every 3 years, in conjunction with the monitoring cycle, that you have myself, Irene, or us together come do a full district training within your school district. Helps meet the requirements for monitoring, but it also helps refresh the memory of staff, you know, annually or every 3 years, and helps train new staff on the definition of McKinney-Vento. In those subsequent years, please remember, as the homeless liaison, you should be at least, you know, briefly speaking on it at the beginning of the year or at the mid-year point during in-service at some time. Those of you who are on from county children and youth offices, you know that we're always happy to come and talk to your staff as well about McKinney-Vento and about ECYEH, just to make sure that, you know, we're all communicating and all on the same page about what that definition is. So please let us know if you'd like to schedule something. Just one other thing about that higher education information. There is the the verification waiver about student status when they're completing their FAFSA. There is also the higher education tuition waiver for children and youth experiencing foster care from their 13th birthday, the day after their 13th birthday and beyond, if they were in foster care, even if it was just, you know, for a very brief amount of time, even, you know, they say 1 day. We do keep the waivers that we sign on file. Children and youth agencies would be able to verify a child's status in the foster care system for their sign-offs. And when they release the FAFSA, which I believe rumor has it December is when they're going to open it for applications, there are boxes for children to check off when they're completing those about, you know, being unaccompanied youth or being in foster care, so that they can receive additional supports. If you need one of those waivers for students experiencing homelessness, please let myself or Irene know. We will sign off on those. Homeless liaisons, you are permitted to do that, but I do ask that you do them individually and keep them on file, because we don't want them a blank one floating around out in the cyber world, because that has happened in the past few years when people were falsifying information. Any questions on that? You're all so quiet. Super. Whoops. I went too far ahead. Sorry. Let's try this. Monitoring. Monitoring is underway for this school year. We had about 30 schools who were monitored last year. We're down to only 14 LEAs this school year. They combined the ECYEH, or the homeless monitoring, also with the American Rescue Plan funding that was available to the schools to do one large monitoring. If you are slated to be monitored this year and we haven't spoken individually yet, we can set up an individual session for your pre-monitoring visit to help you prepare. Also, to go along with the monitoring, and this is available to all of you who have a data system profile, is that under the report tab, there is an LEA profile, and it will have data for you to look at from the 2018-19 school year through the 21-22 school year. And you can look at your numbers as far as data goes. It breaks down the Title I funding that you receive. You can look at chronic absenteeism, graduation rates, testing, proficient, advanced, below basic, or basic, below basic, for all of your students on that profile. You can all check that out. Those of you who have a login to the data system. It's good, you know, again, another source of data if you like those things like I do. Just want to touch on the American Rescue Plan for a few moments. Remember that those dollars were earmarked for for school districts for homeless children and youth. And if you received an allocation for those funds, and many school districts receive large amounts of money and haven't spent it. It must all be spent by September 30th of 2024, or if it's going towards salaries or to pay for services, they have to be allocated by that time and then used up by, I believe it's January of 25. I don't have that in writing, but I will get it. Every time you spend money, you need to do the ARP HCY 1 and 2 use of funds approval form and submit it to Storm, who is our state coordinator, and David Boyer, who is a part of PDE Fiscal. They have a minimum of 10 days to turnaround for approval, and then you may purchase your items. Unless it's an emergency, if you have a family who's experienced a fire or sudden loss of housing for any other reason, or a student who, you know, was thrown out, kicked out, has run away, and there's an emergent need for some sort of supply, you can request, you can put in an emergency use. You can also use this money, if you have not yet, for hotels. They were saying 5 days initially, but we know that 5 days is not realistic for some families. And we can extend that stay longer than 5 days if absolutely necessary. You can also use the money for gift cards for places like gas stations, like Sheetz convenience stores. I know up in Potter County, Coudersport has a Sheetz, but up in Oswego they do not. So, you know, like quick fill, or grocery stores. Amazon is also okay for families to get students to get things that they need. You can stock up on those gift cards to help spend down some of your money, but don't forget to submit that form. Anybody have any questions about ARP funding that you receive directly? Tristan and Marcel, if there are items that you need for students that you are working with, you know, who are under safety plans, and you need something, we can use our ARP HCY funds to purchase items and get to you so that we can spend some of that money. So please let us know. Even if you just want, you know, bulk hygiene supplies, just let me know. Marcel, if your question is, where do I get the forms? I have the forms, and you don't have to submit it because you have not received the particular pot of money. But Marcel, if there's something that you would like, that you need, please email Irene and myself, and just let us know what you might be needing, and we'll get that for you. I'm down, both of us are down in Armstrong County quite a bit. Yeah, Irene's there at least twice a month, every other Tuesday. So I was
going to say, Marcel, I come to Armstrong County every Tuesday. So if you need something, just let us know.
Yep. Yeah. So just let us know. If you are a school district who spent all of your ARP funding and you need more money, first, I have some. So let us reimburse you. The process is long, unfortunately, just because of the hoops that, you know, everybody has to jump through for their own business offices, and, you know, board approval and all of that. But we have money to spend. but the state still has money to spend. And if you have a particular project, a large project that you utilized all of your funds for, please make sure, or please let me know, and I'll connect you with the state, and you can propose to get more money for your school, for your students. Also, if you still have money, make sure that you are, if you're a district that received a large amount of money, you know, 30,000, 40,000, somebody receives 75,000 within the region, please spend that money before you ask us for resources. Because, you know, while we can come to you and bring you those things, you have, some of you also have the ability to just go out and buy those things, you know, hygiene items, school supplies, etc., you know, using your district monies as well. Last but not least, when it comes to ARP, is that we do have 14 schools in our consortium. If you see your name on this list, Shannon, for example, Northern Potter still has a good pot of that money to spend. And I'd like to see, you know, I know that you get resources from your community. I know that Austin School District, Terry there has told us that, you know, they have someone who donates 200 backpacks every year. They don't have 200 students in their school district, so they always have an excess. But if there's something in particular that you need, you know, Shannon, just because I know that Northern Potter's on this list and you're on the meeting, please spend that money. And we'll reimburse you. The district can go out and buy hygiene items or order them online or whatever, and then you can submit an invoice to us so that we can reimburse you for that amount that you were allocated. Because if the people in the consortium don't spend it, I have to spend it. And I already have my own pot of money to do. So if you have questions and you're in the consortium, also let us know. Shane, Conemaugh Valley has a pot of money that's still sitting here. We'd like to see you spend that. And when we meet later today, Shane, we can discuss that too, if that's okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Just as a reminder.
You hear that, Eric? Oh.
Just as a reminder, the state has the Finding Your Way in PA app. It can be used on Apple or Android. It can be used directly from the PC, you know, on any mobile or internet capable device. The app is free, and it is a great listing of resources in each county across the state. If you log on to that and you don't see a resource that you know is available in your county or within your local school district, please let us know so that we can reach out to that agency, or we can just go ahead and go on and list them ourselves. We want to make sure that families and, you know, and all of you have access to that information and those resources. If you know providers in your area, you can actually ask them to add their own service themselves to the list, and so that they can manage their listing as well, and families can directly reach out to them or students. I know that hopefully you all got my blast email about Homeless Awareness Week. It was the 13th through the 17th, and the Red Shirt campaign. It was all over Facebook and Instagram, and I don't know, Twitter's dead. But also on Twitter, lots of school districts did some amazing things. I just received a donation of blankets from Penns Manor School District here in Indiana County. Their students in 5th grade make blankets every year for us. Again, the art contest, donation drives, Lenape collected a ton of items. Du Bois, I got pictures of hats and gloves last week, and pictures of their staff. So again, just as a reminder, if you did something for Homeless Awareness Week and took photos or collected items, if you could just send us, you know, either the photos or a quick blurb about how your district or your agency highlighted homeless awareness, we would love to hear from you so that we can share those ideas out with everyone. And that is all for the homeless updates. Does anyone have any questions for me in particular? Okay, great. I'm going to hand it over to Irene. Just let me know when you want me to advance the slides, and I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I wanted to. Because. Okay, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Okay, some of the things that I want to talk about a little bit today is the bid meetings, then guidelines for sharing information, and some recommended guidance from the state. So, go ahead. Okay, first of all, with the bid meetings, I wanted to share a little bit of information that I got recently. I attended some different webinars and some different some sessions at the state and national conference that Sarah and I attended in New Orleans regarding bids and things like that. And some of the things that I wanted to talk about is, one of the things is who should be included in bid meetings, besides obviously the children youth agencies and the school districts, the LEAs. So one of the things, and this came straight from the Education Law Center in conjunction with PDE, is they're saying that one of the somebody who you should have some input with the bids and the bid process is the student. You should include the student and what their wishes are in that bid meeting. Another person is the children's parents, if they still have educational rights. Because we all know that when children are put into foster care, a lot of times the educational rights are not terminated when they first go into foster care and things like that and all that. So that's one of the they should be their input. It shouldn't be the last say, because it is the whole bid team that should have the say in where the child is going to be going to school and stuff like that, but they should have some input. And with that being said, another person that should be is the educational decision maker if one is appointed for a child. Another that should be is if the child has an IEP or a 504, that team should also be included in the bid meetings. And then another one is any other supportive adult in the child's life that has that is very supportive of the child, such as a clergy, coach, scout leader, therapist, case manager, anything like that. So just keep that in mind when bid meetings are going on. Everybody should have some input in this. So does anybody have any questions regarding any of that?
Irene, what's the age for students? What are they recommending for that?
They did not put any age limit on that whenever those sessions that I attended, but obviously if it's age appropriate, and also you have to take into consideration like the intellectual ability of the child and all that kind of stuff too. But like I know a senior high students and things like that should definitely have a say in it. Not so much like a kindergarten, first, second grader, or that kind of thing. So just take into consideration, use your judgment, that kind of thing. So
I still think it's valuable to have the input from the kindergartner, you know, if they're afraid of their teacher or they love their teacher, you know, I think it's still important that they have a voice, or the guardian ad litem or the educational decision maker, you know, speaks on behalf of the child, just so that that child has a voice.
yeah. Anybody else have any question regarding any of that stuff? And okay. And then the next thing that I wanted to talk about is they gave a list of 13 factors that should be considered during bids. And this came straight from the PDE school placement form that can be used and stuff like that. Here are some, I'm sorry, guys, the 13 factors. Would transferring benefit the child emotionally, socially, or academically? Number 2, would it be best to serve the child at a different school due to academic history or future concerns? Number 3, parents or prior custodian believes changing school is in the best interest of the child. Number 4, the student believes a change in placement is in his or her best interest. This goes back to the also who should be considered with information and for the bids too. And then distance or length of commute, that should be considered. Will it negatively impact the child's education, or does the child have any special needs or something like that? Number 6, the child's permanency plan would support a change. So that's where the child, what is their permanency plan? Adoption, that kind of return to parents, that kind of thing. Parents has attended, or the child has attended the current school for a short period of time and doesn't mind transferring. Okay, and number 8 goes along with what Sarah said. Safety considerations. Safety considerations is a factor, like the child is afraid of somebody in the school or something like that. Number 9, the child's special needs will be better met at another school. Number 10, the new school can meet the academic needs of the child. Number 11, transferring will not interrupt the child's graduation plans. That's for the older students, that kind of thing. The timing or transfer does not interrupt school success. And number 13, consider any additional factors in conjunction with that child. One note that they had is cost of transportation should not be a determining factor in a bid meeting. So transportation, like that cost should not be a determining factor where the child goes to school. I know there are tons of problems with transportation and things like that, but that was one of the big things that they mentioned during all of these different sessions that I attended and things like that. So, but that's the 13th, and that came straight from that long form. And I'm also going to send out, when we send out the stuff from this session, is that I attended one of the sessions that I attended. They gave a form that is a shortened version of that 8-page school placement form from PDE. And I'm going to send that out because they shortened it down to like a 4-page form that was really, really good. I thought it would be something that school districts and children and youth agencies might be able to utilize, and it's not so cumbersome as the form from PDE. It came from a session that was called A Day in the Life, where I attended, and they had children and youth agencies and school districts change roles in planning a bid meeting. And then they put in some roadblocks and things like that, like when the school districts that children and youth agencies face every day, like emergency court hearings come up, or kids run away, or on your caseload and things like that. So it just shows like what happens like in the day of a children and youth employee and stuff like that. And then on the school district side, when the children and youth agencies were on the school district side, they put roadblocks in there too, like an IEP meeting came up, or you have an irate parent in your office, or you have school discipline, a fight happens somewhere and things like that, because we all know that the people at the school districts wear multiple hats and things like that. So that was a really good session. And that's what this sample of bid form came from. And they used that in planning the bid form. And I thought that would be great to give to you guys and stuff like that, so you can utilize. It might make your jobs a little bit easier instead of that 8-page form that I know some people have been utilizing and things like that. Does anybody have any questions regarding that kind of stuff from the bid meetings, or any that I explained about the bids and what should be considered and all that kind of stuff? Okay. Then can you go? I'm so sorry. Okay. Can anybody tell me what is going well with bids, or?
Don't mind the person controlling the computer.
Can anybody tell me what's going well with bids? What any concerns they have with bids or anything like that right now?
I know that Elk County is going to be having a new educational liaison for children and youth because Tammy Van Gorder did leave Erica and Ray. So hopefully that process will continue to improve once we find out who that new person is.
Yeah, there isn't a person.
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is information sharing between LEAs and children and youth agencies. And one of the things, and I know I've mentioned this before and stuff like that, it is recommended by DHS that court orders should not be shared with LEAs. I do know that it was shared in one of our other meetings, and it was by, I think it was Center County CCYAs. They do 2 separate court orders, one to share just like with the court order with just the orders on it and things like that, to share with people. And then they do another fact finding children and youth, another court order with all the information in it and things like that. So I know that's very cumbersome for the children and youth agencies to do and things like that, but I do know a lot of children and youth agencies will send a letter or things like that when a child is placed into foster care and things like that. So there is a form that DHS recommends to use, and it is a placement form. I know I've shared this before. I think it's kind of blurry, guys, but it's not working. But I will send that out. But like I said, it is a recommended form. It doesn't have to be utilized, just as long as the information that's on this form is shared with the children and youth, or I mean with the school districts by the children and youth agencies. That would be that's good. I know one of our other counties, I know they send a letter out with, they don't like this form, so they send a letter out and things like that. Tristan and Marcel, is there something you got? I know, Tristan, you had talked about before of how you guys shared information. Is there anything you want to share about that right now?
We share, we do share court orders when we feel that it's like necessary to do so, I guess.
Okay.
So we don't always do that, but I mean, there are times when I think it's like important information for the school to have and to keep the child safe and to make sure that everybody is on the same page and there's no issues with pickups or, you know, if there's some sort of like PSA or something like that in place. So, I mean, I would say we share as much information as we can with them in order to make sure that everybody is on the same page.
Okay.
Marcel and put in the chat that they typically send a form and they send a redacted court order if also needed.
Okay. That's great. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or concerned with any of that? Okay. Go ahead. Okay. Okay. I'm going to move on to recommending guidance right now. The state is in the process of updating their recommend guidance for foster care. This will be done over the next year. I don't know what's going to come out of that recommended guidance or anything like that, but this, like I said, they are in the process, and I just attended last Wednesday another one of our regional meetings, and our state coordinator or our state contact, Matt Butansky, he talked about that. And as we learn what that recommended guidance is, I will be filtering that out to you guys, so you guys will be kept up to date as I learn about what that new recommended guidance is going to be. With that being said, I wanted to make sure everybody's transportation plans and MOUs are still relevant and up to date. I know you guys have been you guys have been great with doing your transportation plans and all that kind of stuff, and I think you guys all have them. If you need copies of your most recent ones that I have on file, I can send those out to you. But I just wanted to make sure you guys have them up to date and still relevant and everything and stuff like that. So that's just a reminder to do that. And then also starting with this school year, I do know that the state is going to ask school districts to provide the number of foster students that they have in their district. And this will most likely be able to be pulled from PIMS. I know you guys at the LEAs, when you become aware of a foster student, you put them into PIMS and things like that. So that is one of the things that so that's one of the things that school districts are going to be asked to do this year, is provide that number. So, there, to assist with that, there is a tracking tool that is on the pafostercare.org website that school districts can use to track their students experiencing foster care. And if you take it to the next slide, Sarah, this is an example of what that looks like. And it shows some of the things that's on that at the wwpafostercare.org. I know some of it got cut off because I could not shrink it enough that you would still be able to see it on this. But there are other things on here too with, and I can't remember what all those other ones are, but there's other columns that you may, with different information that you may want to utilize and stuff like that. So I just wanted to show you guys what that actually look like and stuff like that. So does anybody have any questions or any additional concerns or anything about foster care? Okay, guys, that's what we have for today. Thank you guys for attending the meeting today. We really appreciate all of your input and we really appreciate you guys being here. And if you guys need anything, feel free to call us, email us, let us know. And you guys have a great rest of your school year.
Absolutely. If anybody needs to stay on to ask any specific questions, we can stay on for a little while, but we are going to give you the rest of your morning back. Thank you all for your time, and we will see you all soon. Have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Irene, Sarah, if you guys could do me a favor in Elk County with the CCYAs and let me know what you know as it's going. I had already sent an email to them because I was concerned about a couple situations that I wasn't hearing about that I was getting wind of through teachers or the foster parents or whomever. They said that they don't have anybody for that role at this time. And that I was to speak to individual case managers, which I was always even sure who those people are. That's just complicated. I just feel that there's a big breakdown of information there and I'm kind of just concerned about it.
Yeah, definitely understood. I know that they have not appointed anyone yet. Tammy had given Irene two separate people to contact. Go ahead.
Yeah, she gave me two separate names and things like that, Erica. And let me look, I will look back at my email right now from Tammy and I can give you those two names too that she had given me. So
okay. Yeah, I had emailed the director, Nancy Baker, so I'm not sure.
Have the opportunity to you know, get back up there and meet with everybody. You know, we have all I felt like we've always had a pretty good relationship with them. You know, especially since when Tammy came on as the educational liaison, Sue was the person before, I think was her name. And we've gone and we've talked to their caseworkers and their supervisors and all, and their director in the past. So we, you know, hopefully can help navigate that so that it's not so clunky.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just hope that they're not like that they understand that they need to assign somebody and not just kind of, and I get it that they're short staffed, but it's kind of, you know, I'm not going to be contacting, you know, 10 different people. I don't know what's going on. I always relied on Sarah to, you know, or Tammy to let me know that.
Right.
You know, so.
Absolutely. So again, we'll help navigate that. It is a requirement for DHS that they have an educational liaison. So hopefully, you know, hopefully they can, they'll appoint one here shortly.
Yeah, and I know our transportation plan is out of date. I know that Tammy was going to work on it before she left. Whether she did or not, I never got a copy of it.
Okay.
So I have that hanging out there, you know, so just some things like that.
Okay.
No, so yeah, in particular, I've been concerned, but then this morning I had a teacher, one of my teachers had emailed me, then said that she found out from the foster care mom that a student that we've been waiting to move is probably moving with a pre-adopted family in December. And she goes, you probably shouldn't be hearing this through me. She goes, but I was worried you wouldn't find out. I said, well, thanks.
Yeah, at least she let you know, thankfully, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the foster mom had told the teacher, who in turn had told me. So
okay.
Not
the right way to find out, but thank goodness she had the forethought to share it with you.
Yeah. But it's funny because 2 weeks ago, that same kid, the guidance counselor or somebody had heard through, I don't know if it was an outside therapist that this kid sees that it fell through and that it was and that it wasn't happening, so I'm like, I said to her, I said, well, I'm not going to say anything because I really don't know. Like, I have two different opposing viewpoints on that, I guess. So,
yeah, absolutely.
just worried about the kids that I'm going to miss, or things are
absolutely.
Absolutely. There, because it's already been over a month, since Tammy left. So
yeah,
just wanted to put that on your radar there. So
Irene has those names for you.
Oh,
okay, Eric. Can you hear me, Erica?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The two names that I have are Nancy Baker and Clarissa Herzing. Those are the two names that Tammy gave me before she left. And I was reaching out. I reached out to them one time and I have not heard back from either one of those, but I'm going to try to reach out to them again and see what they are, where they stand and everything and stuff like that and stuff. And I just want to remind them a little bit of what should be happening and all that kind of stuff. So
it just, and I get it. Nancy's the one that I spoke to because she's the director there, but and she's like, well, we're short staffed. And I said, I understand that. I said, but
it still has to happen.
Yeah, I don't know when to contact these case managers. Like, and you're giving me like 4 or 5 different people. I said, but that doesn't help me with the kid that maybe is living somewhere else as of yesterday that, I don't know about. So.
Right. Yes, it does not help.
Yeah, and then also with the caseworkers and things like that too, they have so much other stuff going on and things like that. So if they need to appoint somebody and
because the caseworkers I've found typically notify principals of information first. If they notify anybody, it typically is them. Tammy was kind of my one, especially going into court cases, after court cases or whatever, she was real good at keeping me updated. So
yeah, she was real good at, she was really good.
Yeah, she was actually really good at communicating with me also.
And
like
she'd always say, I'm going to call Irene on this.
Yes, she was very good at that and stuff. So
hey,
and like Sarah had mentioned, what I'm going to do too is right after the holidays, I'm going to try to put together a meeting with all the children and youth agencies and just to talk about bids and information sharing and all that kind of stuff. What's going well with certain children and youth agencies for them to share different ideas with the other children and youth agencies, what is working well with some and everything and stuff like that. So so just try to give somebody some different ideas on how things can be improved and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that helps and stuff like that. So
no, that would be great. I really like the safety plan idea and some of that those other things.
Definitely. Before you sign off, I am scheduled to come up there on January 15th. Is that still happening, or does Heather not want me to come now?
She doesn't have a choice because I knew it was
okay, good. Because
it has to happen.
After that that email exchange, which again, I didn't think I was being unprofessional or callous in any way. But apparently she read it with a very different tone than how I wrote it.
No, that's typical. So I wouldn't take any offense to that.
Because so Ray wants me to come that day, and then they also want me to go to Jeff Tech in Reynoldsville that day. So if I can come there first and then go to Ray and then hit Jeff Tech on the way home.
Yeah.
If you have, do you have a time in mind?
Now, typically our in-service days start at 7:38. I mean, if you wanted to come at 8, I mean, I can tell her, you know, and I think we have a leadership meeting next week, so I can bring it up then and let her know that way if the time needs to change. So I'm just going to tell her I need it for the audit. So
yeah, 8 a.m. can work as long as it's not, you know, snowing.
Yep.
Ridgeway's, well, I don't know, not quite 2 hours, so maybe it is 2 hours. So 8 o'clock is fine.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know like if what the plan is for the rest of the day. So the other thing that would be nice about that is I have the paraprofessionals coming in that day and they have a safety care training that's starting at 8:30-ish. So I mean, they could be a little bit late. I'd like them to be there.
Yeah, that would be great because they hear things too.